Hey, God bless you. I wanted to come on here real quick because I wanted to talk about Ishtar. I wanted to talk about the return of the god Ishtar. Ishtar is known in Genesis 10:8 through 12, other passages as well, but specifically Genesis 10:8 through 12. God bless everyone that's on here. You can share this. I appreciate it. But Ishtar, you can find out and read about that in your own personal time. I don't have time, so I got to just throw this on you. Meditate on it, and you can move forward. We'll probably do a part 2, maybe not, we'll see. But Genesis 8:10 through 12 talks about Ishtar, and it talks about the great grandson of Noah, Nimrod. It talks about the great grandson of Noah, Nimrod, and his wife Isis, also known as Ishtar. Isis known as Ishtar. You can do the study for yourself. Nimrod and Ishtar were the founders of Babel, and they were the ones from the foundation and from the beginning that ushered in this God, lowercase God spirit of Baal worship. You can study this at your own particular time. So understand that when there is a God that is trying to establish rule and push God, Jesus Christ, out of society, out of culture, it starts from the foundation. These gods started from the foundation. If we understand Noah and the flood, that was from the foundation of the world. And Noah's great grandson Nimrod, who married his mom, also known as Isis, also known as Ishtar, was his wife. It was his mom, but it was his wife. And she was placing herself and positioning herself as a god. She was placing herself and positioning herself as a god. You understand what I'm saying? She was placing herself and positioning herself as a god. And one of the characteristics of Ishtar is for well, I'll say it like this. She said that she had the power to turn a man into a woman. And she had the power to turn a woman into a man. That is one of the characteristics of Ishtar, also known as Isis, also known as Nimrod's mother, but he married his own mom, which already starts off with perversion. It starts off with perversion. You can share this. I appreciate it. And so I did a study and I did a teaching called The Return of the Gods. The Return of the Gods. I also talked about the return of Zeus. Zeus is considered one of the top foundational gods under Satan. In Greek mythology, they adore Zeus. But Zeus is not the only one. Zeus actually comes from an extension of Nimrod. Again, Nimrod was Noah's great grandson, and also he was in conjunction with his wife, which was his mother, his literal mother. He had sex with, he wanted to reproduce with, he married his mom, and she is known as Isis, but also known as Ishtar. Ishtar, Isis, and Nimrod, they both birthed out pagan gods. And one of the pagan gods was called Zeus. I did a teaching on that, The Return of the Gods. You can go on my YouTube and you can watch that if you want to. And so, why are you telling us this, prophet? The reason I'm telling you this because there's going to be a return of gods that are coming. This is a prophecy for you. You're going to see, and it's going to be in the news, a dragon face appears over New York City. Now, this is before all the prophets that try to steal my prophecy and say that they prophesied. You heard it here first. Because they do that. Because I got a smaller following than them. I got a couple 100,000 people following me. I got only 30,000 people on this page following me. So they come and they try to take my prophecy. And because they got lucky and blew up, and now their following is gonna say, oh, they prophesied it. I don't care whoever prophesied whatever, but I'm just saying, you heard it here first. There's going to be a face. I told y'all about the aliens like 2-3 years ahead. I told y'all about the aliens that was gonna start appearing. I told y'all about signs in the sky, alien beings walking down the street, principalities starting to appear. Told y'all about all of this. Now watch this. This is a prophecy. There's a dragon face and a dragon that's gonna appear over New York City. This dragon already exists. Just because it appears visibly to us doesn't mean that it does not exist. That's called a principality. What is a principality? A principality is a demon god, lowercase god. The Bible says that Satan is the god of this world. And so a principality is a prince or a king demon. It's one of Satan's top lieutenants, top sergeants, however his ranking is in the spirit, is one of his tops. And so this dragon is going to appear. This dragon isn't Satan. Even the Bible tells us that Satan is a dragon. Satan is also a snake. He can appear. He can shapeshift. But this is one of his lieutenants, his high-ranking principalities, and it's going to appear over New York City, and it's going to be in the news, and people are going to be like, oh my God, what is this? And it's going to eventually disappear. But that is a sign that it is getting bold, like in the ancient times, like in the days of Noah, it's getting bold, and these spirits are getting so bold that they don't have to hide themselves anymore. They're going to begin to appear openly and publicly. You heard it here first. Now, make sure you share this all across your YouTubes, your socials, so that people can understand that this stuff is serious. This isn't a game. This isn't entertainment. But the reason that they're getting bold and they're going to start to appear is because they're going to begin to show their self-known. And they're showing their self-known in an arrogant manner to say that you guys are so deceived that we can even appear and you will begin to worship our appearance, because people are going to begin to publicly worship these appearances, even to the point they're going to build statues like the calf in the day of Moses as an idol to worship. So watch what I tell you. It's going to appear. But this spirit is already infiltrating society. Now, what does this mean? Ishtar, remember this. This is a principality. Ishtar, the mother of Nimrod, also the wife of Nimrod, which is Noah's great-grandson. From the foundations in the beginning of the earth, the beginning of the world, the beginning of time, situated foundational strongholds amongst God's people. Do you hear what I'm saying? This is too deep. Say, this is too deep, prophet. And so Ishtar, if you know one of her main characteristics, it is to turn a man into a woman. They say that she has the power to turn a man into a woman. Also a woman into a man, vice versa. Now, we already see this happening in our society. I'm not going to get deep off into that part of it, but we already can clearly see this is happening. And so anytime you in the woke movement begin to see women turn masculine and move from how God created them to be, which is to be feminine, and that doesn't mean that you are weak because you are feminine, but during the feminist movement, we have begun to demonize women who have characteristics to be how God designed them to be, which is to be feminine. Even when it comes to preachers, even when it comes to women preaching, now they want to preach masculine and preach like they sound like a man. This comes from the prince or the king demon, the principality, the dragon spirit that came from or was birthed out of Ishtar. Do you follow me? And now we have all over TikTok, we have all over Facebook, we have all over these social platforms, over YouTube, people are saying, well, it's a man's fault that a woman has to take the role and become masculine. You don't have to take the role and become masculine. You can be in your femininity and still be powerful. Do you hear what I'm saying? And a lot of women have begun to say, well, relationships have made me become that way. And it's a lot of times they say romantic relationships, the man isn't stepping up. So I got to step up. Just because you are not feeling feminine, or that man in that romantic relationship isn't making you feel feminine, does not mean that you have to lose or forfeit or give up your rightful position as a strong woman. Strong black woman, strong Caucasian woman, white woman, European woman, strong Somalian, strong African woman, whatever your nationality is, you can be comfortable in your feminine nature and still be powerful. But this spirit, this principality that has been roaming throughout the earth, which is about to get bold, and we're going to see the dragon face appear in New York City. Now this spirit is starting to become more bolder, and it's starting to infiltrate. Watch this. It's starting to infiltrate even our children. So now we have little kids that are 12 years old that were born as a certain gender because of society, which is ran by the spirit that Ishtar birthed out, Isis birthed out, is submitting to the spirits of this age. Remember, I'm going to say this again. Ishtar, or Isis, Nimrod's wife, also Nimrod's mother, which is Nimrod, is the great-grandson of Noah. They birthed out these foundational spirits from the beginning of time. So this spirit has always been around. It's just getting more bolder. And that spirit, one of the main characteristics of it is to act masculine, even though, or change the gender of a person, even though God designed and created that person to be how he created it to be. Do you follow me? This is too deep. So a lot of people say, I've been in relationships, I've been hurt, I've been misused and abused, so I have to come out as a masculine person. I have to take on that role. God did never create you to become masculine. You can have masculine characteristics. Yes, you can be strong, you can lift weights, you can play sports, you can do anything that a man can do, and a man can do anything that a woman can do, vice versa. But if you notice in today's society, in today's culture, in today's age, especially American culture, we're training our little boys to be feminine. And when a little boy or a man acts masculine, then that man is demonized. But when a woman acts masculine or a little girl acts masculine, they are not demonized, they are celebrated. In the feminist movement, which I'm not saying totally that whole movement is bad, but it has a lot of different characteristics that are not of God. And the feminist movement is promoting this. And the feminist movement is ran by the dragon spirit, is ran by Ishtar. Do you hear what I'm saying? And so now we have a lot of broken women running around saying that a man did this to me and a man did that to me. And then you have a lot of broken men that are running around saying a woman did this to me and a woman did that to me. They've hurt me. And so they push me to be stronger than what God created me to be. But see, this is the confusion right here. You confuse being strong with losing your rightful position as a woman. Just because you give up your femininity, being feminine, does not mean that you're strong. There's a lot of strong women that are still feminine. But you've built a self-defense mechanism because of the relationships, because of the past trauma, because of the past PTSD, whether it's romantic or platonic. It could be dealing with your father. Your father was never there, or your father was abusive. So now you've built a self-defense mechanism to be strong, or what you appear, or what you think to it shows an appearance of being strong by losing your rightful position as a woman. Giving up your feminism, giving up that does not mean that you're strong. Do you follow what I'm saying? You can be feminine and still be strong. I know a lot of women that kept their rightful position and are still strong. And men in this society now have tucked their tail, and because of the pressures of TikTok, let's just be real about it, the pressures of TikTok, which is one of the leading social apps right now amongst millennials and especially Gen Z, between 17 and 40 years old, one of the leading apps, has connected with the spirit of Ishtar. Ishtar says that I have the power to change a man into a woman, and I have the power to change a woman into a man. Do your study, do the research, don't take my word for it. And because of all of the social norms, all of the things that have been happening in society, we have come into agreement. Our families have come into agreement. Remember what I told you, a principality. Remember I taught this before. A principality is born or created out of what? Out of agreement. This is why you can go into a city and you can see the spirit of death over a city like Chicago. Or over a city like in cities in New Orleans, in certain cities in the South like New Orleans, you can go and you can see the spirit of death. Why? Because the people in that, the majority, that's the key word, in that region came into agreement with that spirit, and it built up a king over them. You can never elect a king, you can never elect the president unless you have a group of people that come into agreement with it. So the people in Chicago have came into agreement with that spirit. Oh, my son would never kill nobody. He was a good boy. All the time your son got 4 bodies under him. You know what bodies mean? It meaning he done killed 4 people, 4 body bags, 4 people that's dead. But you say, because you want to think better about your son, but even though you want to say these things, you came into agreement with his behavior, which ultimately came into agreement with the spirit of murder. Wherever you go, any city, this is how you can identify the principality over city. Whatever is prevalent, whatever is popping, whatever is more strong, if it's murder, if it's sexuality, if it's money hungry, if it's pride, whatever, you can sometimes ride through suburbs and you might not be murdered, but you can feel the spirit of pride. That means that a group, a majority, has elected a king. And they did not elect the King Jesus. And this is why unity is so important in the body of Christ, because unity shows the power of God. God understood at the Tower of Babel, those people were so unified and building a tower to reach God. And this is in the time of Nimrod. They were so unified. God said, no, I can't allow that. He destroyed it. Unity is power. Imagine if the body of Christ came into unity, which will never happen fully until Jesus' return. But just imagine. So coming into agreement with something means you agree with it, and it's going to begin to materialize and show forth its power over a region, over a city, and so forth. The reason that the dragon is so bold and that spirit is invisible, but it is about to start manifesting, is because people are coming into agreement with it. So I beseech thee, because my phone about to cut off, and I got to get ready to go. I beseech thee, brethren, to practice studying. I say practice studying, make it habitual. Study your word, study your Bible, practice worship, get connected to a good prophet, pastor, whoever. Follow those teachings and remain loyal to the day that you die. Remain loyal to the day that you die. Stop church hopping, stop prophet hopping. You can learn from everybody, but pick somebody and stay submitted and loyal to it, because all of this to and fro running around, you're going to be confused and you're going to submit. Some of you all on here now have submitted to Ishtar and her demons. You've been hurt. You got PTSD. You got trauma from the pandemic, from COVID. You lost family. You have relationship issues. And now you thinking becoming masculine. Like Ishtar, I have the power to change a woman into a man and a man into a woman. You're coming into agreement with that, and now you're becoming hard. Your heart, your exterior, your inner is becoming hard. Your heart is becoming hardened, and it's starting to express and starting to show in your exterior. To the point now you're developing manly features. You ever seen a man that started, it looks like he's handsome or whatever, but all of a sudden it seems like he's starting to develop woman-like characteristics, woman features, or a man is starting to, or a woman that's starting to develop manly features. That's not just because of surgery. Yes, a lot of it's because people change their features through surgical procedures, but a lot of that is spiritual. It's because you're coming into agreement with it. You don't have to lose your place as a woman. You just have to know your place on your knees before God. You don't got to lose your place as a man. You just got to know your place as a man on your knees in the presence of the King. We have replaced prayer out of the schools. That's been for years now. We have replaced the Bible out of the schools, but we're quick to put the Quran in there and say the Quran is okay and say that satanic Bibles are okay. We're replacing it. Why? Because we're coming into agreement with the spirit of Ishtar, the spirit of Baal. And I don't got time to go deep into the spirit of Baal. Y'all don't know me like that because I ain't scared of nobody. I've been preaching like this for years. You can do the research. You could ban me. Y'all could blackball me. You ain't got to make me nothing. You can do whatever you want to me. I'm going to preach thus saith the Lord. Whoever's accepted, whoever accepted. I don't care if 2 people on here. I'm preaching to the regions because I know what I'm speaking is truth. The demons inside of you don't want to accept it, but that's not on me. I pray for you, and that makes me sad for your life. It's the truth. And again, I'm not saying the whole feminism movement is wrong. But it's a lot of characteristics in that is wrong. Anytime a woman feels like she has to give up her feminine character and become hard and callous to become like a man, or anytime a man has to give up his masculinity because of the pressures and woes of society, which is ran by the spirit or governed by the spirit that came from or was birthed out of Nimrod and Ishtar, is something iffy about that. All of these things started from the foundations of the earth. in the beginning. And everything, I taught y'all this before, everything that was in the past in the ancient times are going to revert back. In the ancient times, they cut off people's heads. In this time now, you're going to begin to see it revert back to that. In the ancient times, they didn't have paper bills, dollar bills. They had coins. We're going to revert back to having coins, but it's going to be digital coins. Everything is going to revert back like to the foundation, but it was already started from the foundation. Satan and God had a war from the foundation of the world, from the foundation of the earth. And everything is going to begin to revert back to that because we're coming into agreement with it. You're going to begin to see them pass laws. The Bible tells us in Daniel that they're going to try to change the laws and change the times. You're going to begin to see a law talk about how they want to revert back to capital punishment using guillotines to cut people's heads off. Y'all don't hear what I'm saying. Y'all go somewhere else. You don't want to hear this. And then you're going to give credit to the prophets that prophesy it like a year after me. They come on my page and steal it. You're going to give credit to them, and then you're going to betray me and go follow them. That's what you're going to do, because that's what you're good for. You're not loyal or none of that. You just come here for whatever. You ain't hearing what I'm saying. You ain't hearing what I'm saying. This is going over your head. Say this is too deep, prophet. Prophet, you're speaking the truth and I receive it. Everything starts from somewhere. Y'all wonder why you got issues in your life. Little issues, small foxes destroy the whole vine. But you got to understand. I told you my phone was about to cut off. I got to get ready to go. But listen, we have to first understand these spiritual precepts in order to understand what's going on in our family, in order to understand what's going on in our relationships. We have to understand these foundations first, because this is imperative. Some of y'all are like, what's going on? It's witchcraft, but it's so much deeper than saying the word of witchcraft. It's so much deeper than saying it's witchcraft. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's so much deeper.